VBB Hot Seat time. Today we are with the GOAT of growth, Jay Webb, where we get to know the real deal Holyfield of the people who are in our network. You know the rules. 5 questions, 3 personal, 2 professional. Jay Webb, the GOAT of growth. Welcome to the VBB Hot Seat.
Yeah, I love that introduction. What up, Jay Wild? Good to see you on this side of the screen. Usually we're standing next to each other at our kids' soccer games or something going on, but it's always good to see you either way.
Rock on, brother. All right, Jay Webb, your favorite athlete of all time?
That's easy. Michael Jordan, of course. Why not Jordan? I mean, there's so many different reasons why Jordan. Matter of fact, you can see a picture of him as I knock over everything in my office. You can see a picture of him over my shoulder over there. It's a book about Michael Jordan. It's called Driven Within. I think that right there says it all because he is driven within. I see that flight thing that you have over your right shoulder as well. Driven within, right? I mean, he's just, in my opinion, the greatest athlete of all time, the greatest basketball, speaking of GOATs, the greatest basketball player of all time. He worked harder than everybody. He's one of those people who had supreme talent, but acted like he was worked like he was the last person on the bench, right? And to me, that's something that's always admirable. But not only did he work hard, and not only did he have the talent, then he had the results, right? 6 NBA championships, multiple NBA MVPs, Olympic gold medals, you name it, right? He did it all. And by the way, not just on the court, but off the court as well, in terms of his ability to grow the brand and to grow his own brand. Like flight, there you go, right there, the jump man, right? So for me, he's easily, without question, has always been, ever since he came onto my radar when he dropped 63 in the Boston Garden in April 20th, specifically 1986, that he's always been my favorite athlete.
Jay, you're being introduced. What's your entrance song?
My entrance song, I've been I'll be a prisoner of the moment, I suppose, because it changes a lot, right? When I first started doing my podcast, by the way, the GOATs of Growth, before I recorded and got on with anybody, it was always You Don't Know remix by Jay-Z and MOP. A lot of people don't know him, but know that, and they know Jay-Z. They might not know MOP. They might not even know that song You Don't Know, but it's a You Don't Know remix, and it just sort of gets me hype and going, and it's fast, and the lyrics flow, and just it's a beautiful, beautiful song to get you energized and ready to go. And then lately, I've been listening to God Did, which is a DJ Khaled song that features Jay-Z, Rick Ross, and Lil Wayne. And so it's like an 8-minute song. Jay-Z's verse, again, Jay-Z, it's about a 5-minute part of the verse. It's the last one. And it gets me pumping. So I think one of those would be my entrance song for sure.
Awesome. I'm like getting energetic just hearing about that. So let's think about LinkedIn for a moment. Who do you follow?
Good question. I follow you, of course, Joe Wild. Everybody else should too, as well. But I follow.
Thanks for the love.
Yeah, of course. But Sam Jacobs, he's the founder and CEO of Pavilion. I just think he does a fantastic job. I learn a lot from him as it pertains to what founders and CEOs are thinking about. The information that he's disseminating, I think, is founded in real life experiences, but also data as well. So he does a great job of distilling that down. I follow Jason Lemkin, who is the founder of SaaStr, SaaStr. He does a fantastic job as well as talking to a community of founders and CEOs. I follow Sahil Bloom, who has, I think it's called Curiosity Chronicles, but he just does a great job of just informing us of all things AI and productivity. And I'm probably forgetting things. Darren McKee is always fantastic, just for inspiration and authenticity and sales acumen and all that kind of stuff. And I'll mention Justin Welsh as well. He's a fantastic person to follow on LinkedIn as well when it comes to branding yourself, finding your voice on LinkedIn and writing content. So those are just several folks. Oh, and I'll also mention Dina Mehta. She's just a fantastic, proven CRO who has a lot of good things to say on LinkedIn. So I consume a lot on LinkedIn just so that I can learn, figure out what other people are thinking about, and that informs me of who I should have on my podcast, perhaps, or some of the subjects that I should have on my podcast, and just some of the things that I should be thinking about as a practitioner in my space.
So Jay, you're in talent acquisition. So why go retain versus contingent in terms of a executive search?
2 C's, Joe. 2 C's, confidentiality and commitment. So confidentiality, let's say, for instance, you're recruiting, you're looking for a chief revenue officer or chief marketing officer or someone who is the head of go-to-market in some way or another. Oftentimes what happens is those searches are confidential because there's somebody in that seat, right? It's very hard to move forward if you don't have someone in that seat already. And so a company would not it would not be advisable for a company to post something like that publicly, because that person's going to wonder why you're posting for that job, right? It's pretty simple, right? And the only way to really get enough traction and to get the expertise that you need in order to find the right talent in an expedited time frame is to pay someone like me a retainer so that you can still see enough people to make the right decision to move forward. That's the first thing. So confidentiality. And then also, by the way, even if let's say, for instance, the seat is vacant and you don't even have a person in that seat, the reality is that the amount of applications that you'd probably get that aren't a right fit, just, right? Because you've been there. You just waste a lot of time, energy, and it's just not a good way to do a search by any stretch of the imagination. And so with a contingency, the reason why, on the flip side of that, if you think about it, contingency means that you are basically saying that you want to date, but you don't want to get married, right? So you want to date me, but the problem is that dating me means that I can also date other people, which means what that means in this world is that I might not be spending all of the time that you need me to spend on your search, because I have 5 or 6 other searchers that I'm working on. And why? Because those people are paying me. You are not paying me. You'll pay me in the end. Those people have realized that they need to commit to me. And as a result of committing to me, I'm going to commit to them. So that's where we talk about the 2 C's, confidentiality and commitment.
All right, so I'm a company, I want to make a commitment. I want to do a retained search with, a company. Why J Webb? Why the J David Group?
Why people would want to engage me is because I think when they meet me, they'll realize, and even listening to my podcast, I'm just naturally curious, right? I want to know everything about your business. I want to become a part of your business. But it's not just even about the conversation of, I want to learn about your business so I can be the best partner for you to help you with your CRO search. Like, I want to learn the business just for the sake of learning the business. It's almost like every time I meet a new client, founder, CEO, chief people officer, whoever it might be, it's like I'm getting a little bit more of my education, right? I didn't get my MBA, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit more of a business education every time I talk to a new business. And I look at it holistically. I look at it 360. I can ask the next level questions just because I had so many of these conversations, but I'm also really just curious about how a business is operating. And if I'm curious about how a business is operating, can you imagine how curious I'm going to be when I'm talking to the candidates that I'm evaluating for you? I'm going to take that same curiosity. So by the end, you're going to have people that I'm introducing you to that are going to be really good fits for your business. You're going to feel, frankly, really good about it. You're going to value the time that you spent not only with me, but with the candidates as well. And guess what? You're gonna win. You're gonna be happy. That's really why. And I don't know if when you meet other people that are in my space, a lot of them are practitioners and they're doing whatever it is that they do. But I really feel like this is something that is in my blood to do.
Perfect. J Webb, the GOAT of growth. You are off the VBB Hot Seat. Feel free, share your comments and love below for J Webb. Rock on, my man. Thank you.
Whew. Glad I'm off the hot seat. Thanks, Joe.